That's right, we're going to review some things today, not my Twitch dashboard. Man in the High Castle. I finished the show yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I know what day it is. Don't question me. I know what day it is. All right. It's Friday, probably. One of these days I'll do the show on Thursday, and I'll never know. Anyway, I wouldn't even be aware of it. Man in the High Castle. So it's based on a book, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. We'll get back to that later. This show, it does what I love a lot of shows to do, in that it lets the characters kind of just breathe and go and do their own thing. It has the respect for material and for its audience, really, to allow a character to show up and be inconsequential and be in the background and build them up, and you keep seeing them and you're like, oh, this guy's doing this thing, okay, and then it becomes something else, and there's all these parties at play. So maybe I should outline it a little. The Germans and the Nazis have split the United States in two. And so a lot of the plot deals with how shitty my internet's being right now, for once. That's what the whole movie's about. The whole movie. Oh, I'm watching you, Twitch. So it deals a lot with these, characters and how they feel. It's in 1962, I believe. How they deal with being under the control of the Nazis or under the control of the Japanese on opposite sides of the coast. And even more interesting to me is the political intrigue that happens with that. There is the Nazi Reich in Germany, and then also in New York, and their motivations and their things. And then we got the Japanese, and we're just gonna keep replaying this. And I love to see they're all playing at their own thing. So even though they're all, like, all the Japanese guys are technically on the same side, all the Nazi guys are technically on the same side, they're all jockeying for position, and in subtle ways, and in ways that you realize at the end, like, oh shit, what's going on here? All the threads, it has the justice of weaving all these threads together like this. That's how you weave in a way that doesn't feel, oh, this is the end of this episode, this is the arc, it's over for this character. It'll have like one scene with one character, and then like 2 episodes will go by, and then they show back up, and you see these things, and it's all about the details. And as I was watching this show, it really struck me that this, obviously it's based on a book, and that comes across really well. It feels like a book in how it treats its characters and how it treats its plot, and how it's slow and methodical. I mean, these are episodes, the whole show probably takes place in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I mean, it doesn't, and some of these episodes, especially the beginning ones, they're all like a day. They're hours. Hours are going by, and you're seeing all the little pieces, and it just fits together, and it's very fascinating to see. So they're collecting these films for the Man in the High Castle, and I obviously won't spoil anything, but they're collecting these films, and they show a world that's not their world, a world where they didn't lose the war to the Nazis. And so they're trying to figure out what that means, and there's a resistance, obviously, you gotta resist the Nazis, I mean, come on. And it's so, let's get into more specifics here. The characters, I feel like the acting is fine, but the only reason why I say that is because the guy who plays, what's his name, John Smith, he's the German commander guy, is so good at being he's seen some shit. So he was in the war. He was in World War II on the Nazi side, and he's now a high-ranking guy in New York. And the way he's so calm and collected, he's a master interrogator. He steals every scene he's in. It's impossible to be like, to not even mention it, because he's so good in it. And that's why I say the other acting isn't as great, specifically from the younger character. I guess younger. I mean, they're in their 20s, maybe 30s, low 30s. It's just his character is so freaking good. And how it's all weaved together is masterful. I really do like that. From what I understand, and I just found this out maybe about half an hour ago, this season covers the whole first book. But I'm not sure on that. I don't really want to spoil the whole book because I kind of wanted to read the book. But this has been renewed for another season, so it's very interesting to think of what could happen next if there is no material. Now you can go off and do this whole thing, which is very interesting to me because I felt like I didn't feel like it rushed. I felt like there was so much more material. If this is how the book ends, that's crazy to me. Because it's not necessarily an unsatisfying ending to this story. It's kind of intentionally vague and up to your own conclusions. But it's a really good show. It's really great. There's minor quibbles, but no. It's definitely worth watching, if not only for the setting alone and just to see what happens, because it defies kind of what you'd think. The characters do things, and the way it goes is not the way you'd think it'd go, and a lot of the time. Like, I didn't think half these things were going to happen, or the way they happened, and some things you can kind of see telegraphed, and you're like, oh, they're going to do that. That guy's going to get shot, or whatever. And it might happen, but it's going to happen in a way that's different. Particularly the beginning, the first episode has two characters traveling to the neutral zone in the middle of the country, which isn't really described or explained, which is fine. Whatever. Neither is the resistance, so, or how they won the war. But you have them going there, and you think the whole story is going to be, the East Coast stuff, the West Coast stuff, and then the neutral zone stuff. And they're there in the neutral zone for like 2-3 episodes, and then they go back, and it's this crazy thing of like, you'd expect them to come together and it'd be like a buddy cop thing. These two fish out of water meet in the neutral zone and they do shit. But that's not what it is. And that was what was very interesting about it to me. It kept doing things of like, oh, that's not where this is going? Okay, well, where is it going? And where it ends up is so good and so interesting and definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch to think on it and think, what does it mean? What could it mean? Because there's some crazy stuff that's going on. And it's so creepy too to see the American flag with the swastika on it. Like, kinda like that. That's kinda weird. I just realized I'm playing in this swastika. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I love my internet's breaking. So not to belabor the point anymore, go watch the show. That is all. Back to review slide. Oh, let's talk about that. The show, I mean, that's the thing too. I was watching the show. Halfway through the show, I realized this is a fucking good book. Like, I want to watch this book. I want to read this book. And there's so few things where you watch that, like, I want to read this book. This feels like a book, and it feels like a good book. But if the whole book is just the first season, that's very interesting, and I want to see where they go with it. But it's so strange too, because like I watched the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones and then read the books. But with this, I watched the show and was like, watching Game of Thrones, I never once was like, I bet this would be good in the book. It was just something I wanted to do. But with this show, I specifically, as my internet dies, I want to watch the book. I want to stop saying watch the book. I almost said watch the book again. I wanted to watch the book, right? With all its pages flowing above my eyes. Fucking psychopath. But yeah. And the book's not very long too. It's like less than 300 pages. Not Game of Thrones. We're gonna try and read all that. Seems right up my alley too, that book. The book just for me.